and true. And who wants who wants something dull and boring?
They don't know what's real, what's really going on. They don't enjoy life. They don't enjoy life unless they're high, and therefore they don't learn how to make themselves happy. But the reality is they don't remember very much of what happens to them. They stop doing certain things, like they probably cut down on a certain amount of activities. They don't see other friends. They don't do physical activities. Sports drop off. Certain things that, other kinds of fun things they could be doing, they start to do it less. They stop communication with some of their friends, the ones who are squares. They stop communication with their parents. They get themselves cut off, and then they find themselves alone. Then they're left in a position where they can be picked up by people that maybe they would have never, ever been with. But now that they're in this situation, you know, those are the only people left to be friends with.
We got a little place down by the school, a little walkway called the Steps. You can go there, and usually a couple people there. And, you know, if they got a joint, and I might have a joint, we'll match them, you know. They smoke theirs with me, and I smoke mine, you know, we just get higher. And then, you know, just go to school, and just usually go through the school day. And then after school, we might go down to the Steps again, you know, smoke some more, and then, you know, go home and eat supper. And then, you know, after supper, I usually go back out and party some more.
There's no better example of impairment of motor function than we have with driving an automobile or operating complicated machinery. The sadness is that many a kid feels that he drives better. The term that's often used is, I get into my driving more. But when that's tested, either in an automobile or in a laboratory situation that simulates road conditions, there is a deterioration of function.
I'd much rather be high if I'm driving than I'm driving, you know. There's, being high doesn't, you know, affect my driving ability whatsoever. It's, you know, I can, some people say, like, your depth perception will be, you know, altered. Mine isn't.
There is a loss of vision, especially peripheral vision. There is a loss of memory, and there's a loss of judgment, so that it may show up in the following way. A driver proceeding home who's stoned may respond perfectly well to a stoplight, to a stop sign, to a familiar turn. But if something unfamiliar and unexpected happens, a child or an animal darts out in the road, or another car makes an unexpected turn, then you're going to see very significant loss of function. Well, there's a tremendous amount of new material that is coming out in the last several years about how hormonal function is affected. We're talking about levels of sex hormones, testosterone in men, estrogen in women, growth hormone, its effect on the pituitary. Now that's serious stuff, and to take that lightly makes no sense, in my opinion. We need to be very cautious about that. Further, we have evidence that marijuana is retained for a long time in the body. If we were to have a shot or several shots of liquor right now, in 24 hours, our system would eliminate all of the alcohol, and there would be no traces in the body. If I were to have a joint of marijuana now, in 30 days, we could still detect traces of the active ingredient, THC, in my system. Now, that means that the regular user is likely to have a cumulative effect. If we add that then to hormonal changes and effects on certain cellular function, we may have long-range effects that no one has even dreamed of yet.
Kids generally like to take the pro-marijuana side, and they tend to go for that research, that information that says marijuana is not harmful, or marijuana is less harmful than alcohol, or less harmful than cigarettes, that kind of information. Whereas anything that would say the opposite of that, they don't like to deal with that.
I just do it and ignore the other things, I guess. I ignore the things that people say that'll hurt you and all this other stuff.
Yeah, it is bad for you.
I don't know, it's just, makes you lose your memory, that's all I know.
I've just about heard it all. I mean, you know, I've had people try to, you know, my mom just tried to, you know, tell me things that scare me, but I've, you know, I don't really, you know, not much scares me about it.
I'm not really worried about what people have told me or what I've heard, read, you know, so far, but my mind might change later on in the years. But so far, I don't think I'm going to quit. Not for a while, a long while.
I think, you know, if you're not really sure about something, you should find out for yourself. And I've been smoking it now for, you know, on a regular basis for about 4 or 5 years. And, you know, I'm leading a pretty good life. There ain't nothing the matter with me.
There's no place in the United States today that you can go that marijuana is not available. And not only is it available, but it's cheap. So that if a kid wants to have a single joint or a few joints, it's very easy for he or she, along with friends, to have it in a regular way.
Well, I just, you know, call up the dealer or, you know, get in touch with them and ask them if they got any to sell. And if they do, you know, I'd set it up and meet them somewhere or go to their house or something.
$40?
Yeah, it's,
I have no problem. I go to my dealers. I have probably about 12 or 13 of them. One of those guys has got to have it.
What do you think? I'm not, I'm not go for it.
yeah, all right. You got how much? 20? There you go.
Ounce usually costs about $35. You know, just regular marijuana. And it just costs $35. And a half bag, which is a half an ounce, costs $17.50. It's not really hard. I mean, you know, everything in life costs you a little bit. I mean, you know, to get a car costs, you know, you work up to save money to buy a car. I just save money to buy pot.
Hey, where can I pick up a joint, or where can I pick up sack? Oh, over here, over there. You know, so-and-so ran out, so you have to go to so-and-so. You know, there's usually a main dealer where all the small dealers at the schools go to.
Very often as we focus on what happens to the marijuana user, we sort of put the magnifying glass on that person, and we forget all of the other people in his or her life that are affected. For example, family interactions are greatly affected. If a kid becomes secretive, guilty, angry, tense, there can be a significant disruption in the quality of family life.
Well, when I first noticed it, she was acting really bored all the time, and it seemed like she just had to be on the go all the time. And I thought there was something strange about it, but I never thought it was marijuana, you know, or anything like that. I just thought that she was just bored with life, but why, I didn't know. When Gina's grades started going down and skipping classes and stuff like that, well, I didn't know what it was. I think if I had known this, then I could have said, hey, she's on marijuana. Maybe I could have done something right away, because I just didn't know what it was. And I think if parents would learn these things, they could see the difference in their child.
Parents can get together. They can form support groups. And I'm talking about forming support groups in their neighborhood to use the resources that are available to them. There are parents within every community who share similar kinds of problems.
That's the other part of the egg, isn't it?
There was really a denial period. We really didn't accept the fact and take steps, right, you know, any real hard steps at that time.
10 hours a week again next week. Offer you had? I guess that was my biggest problem. I was shocked. Like, not Gina, not my sweet little girl, you know. I tried to talk to her, you know, asking her what's wrong. And she was missing a lot of school, too. And I just kept trying to find out why, you know, what have I done wrong?
I'm just going to look at it.
My mother gave up on me, and that hurt, you know, although I was using heavily, that hurt. And, you know, I realized my family's going to be the only one that's with me for the rest of my life, you know, and these people out on the streets could give a damn about me.
I never can agree with the fact that you can be a buddy to your child. You're still the parent, but I think you should be a good listener. I think young people like adults who listen, but still are strong enough to have some conviction, to say, to have an opinion on something. They like direction. I think young people want a friendly listener, but they also want an adult to take some kind of stance. When you say, I'm your friend and it doesn't matter to me what you do, they usually don't respect you. They like for you to have an opinion. They like for you to give them an alternative. If not this, what?
Well, there's a word I really like, and as a principal I use it too, is tough love. The person who really loves a child but knows how to be an adult and give leadership. The most effective thing is to show them love, be able to express affection, but also to show them direction.
Talk, communicate with your young person. Don't yell and cry and get upset and say, oh, why are you doing this to me? You know, everybody would say, oh, why are you doing this to me? Those young people are doing it to themselves.
Parents have to understand that they do have power, that they have power to change their situation. They have power within themselves to deal with the problems that they're facing. But parents can't deal with their problems until they get to the point where they say, okay, I've had enough. What can we do? Let's do something.
If you could just get your children and just, you know, have maybe twice a week group sessions, you know, with the parents and the children and you know, just talk. And maybe you could find out maybe there is a problem that's causing these children to, you know, just get high and you know, do all these things.
I have a parent group, a parent support group I go to, and most of their kids was in the same situation. They all had the same problem. They don't know where it went wrong or what to do about it. And then we got this parent group together, and we meet every Monday, and we talk about these things. And it's easier now for me.
When a parents group forms, or when parents begin to examine this, they get all kinds of new information. That information arms them so that they can take a stand. They are further positioned by having company and companionship into feeling that they're not alone.
I'll probably smoke until I'm in my 40s or 50s. I mean, you know, I might not ever quit smoking, you know. From viewpoint now, I don't think I ever quit.
The parent has to say that I care enough about you that I don't want you to endanger your health. I'm not going to sit back and allow you to injure yourself and to get stoned in a regular way as you grow up.
You're not going to win this in an arm wrestle. You're going to win it because ultimately you care about your child. You want him to care about himself. You want him to respect himself and have good feelings about himself and be thoughtful about his body. And your love for him is what is going to convince him. You have to operate from a position of feeling that you have a right to do that you have a right to take a position, that you don't have to back off and leave it to someone else.